Hey, thanks for joining us today at Joe's Quilting Studio. I'm Jessie and I am the host, and it's FYI Friday time. So today, let's talk about once your quilt is all pieced, what should you do next? How do you need to prepare your quilt for quilting? Either quilting yourself, bringing it to me to quilt, or taking it to your own Longarmer. I don't know. I'm not everybody's Longarmer. I should be, but I'm not. So today, I want to tell you about the 4 things that I like to see when somebody brings me a quilt for it to be long-armed. Is this a requirement? No. Will I take your quilt anyway? I totally will. But when you do these 4 steps, it makes me warm and fuzzy and happy. And I like to be happy. I'm just saying. So step 1 is press your quilt. I know we've done a video on press to the left, press to the right, press open, and honestly, by the time it gets to me, I really don't care anymore. I just need it pressed flat as can be. When your quilt is lumpy and I go and put it on the frame, that gives the opportunity for puckers and things like that, and you're not going to get the best outcome. So press your quilt flat, right? It's just that final step. Press, press, press. Get all that excess that you can out of it. The other thing that I like to see is you to trim and clean up your quilt from stray threads. Look at this, we've got some red threads that are on here. And that may not bother you, but when this quilt is on the frame, you're going to see all these red threads through that white fabric. And there's nothing I can fix about that. I can't go back in there and get those out. Joe's pretty handy with his little micro crochet hook thingy. I am not handy with it. I will pop a hole in there so I don't use it. You can try and do it at home, but you want to trim all of your threads because these will all get in there and they will all find their place to the lightest piece of fabric, and you will see through that. So the other thing that you want to do is do what we call a stay stitch. And this is like 1/8 of an inch all the way around your quilt. When you have heavy piecing on the sides of your quilt, right, the first couple of things will pop open like this. We're going to pop these open. This is Bryn's quilt. She has given me permission to do this. I'm not just busting open somebody's quilt. Trust me. It's not. And you see how these just pop open. So just to give you an idea, this is how your seams look together. That's how big your quilt borders grew when it's not. And so when all of these pop open on a side like that, you can actually get an extra inch, or you can start getting some holes. Just go ahead and put a stay stitch down. We've got a great example of a stay stitch here. And you see how she just went 1/8 of an inch all the way around the perimeter of her quilt. And that prevents those from popping open. So we want to press our quilts. We want to trim all of our threads from our quilts. We want to stay stitch around the entirety of the perimeter of the quilt. Now, the last thing that we want to do is we want to check our quilt for holes. Ask me how I know this. So this is actually my quilt from home, and I am sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden my finger goes, uh-oh, there it goes. There's a hole in this quilt, and I didn't even know it until after I had quilted it. I could go back in and I could whip stitch this closed, right? But really, I should have checked all of my seams when I was doing it. So go through when you have your quilt and go through and check your seams. Check for any tension problems that you had. Check and see if you have any overlap. Check and see for holes that those might open up, because otherwise you will be sitting on your couch learning a lesson every time you are watching the new Matlock that you also have a hole in your quilt. So those 4 things are going to make you, as your own quilter or your Longarmer, super happy. Now you know.